وَإِذْ جَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَأَمْنًا.
Ibrahim a.s.'s life began in what is now known as Iraq, in the Mesopotamian region. After inviting his people and the incident of the fire, and people by and large not accepting his invitation, Ibrahim a.s. starts migrating in the direction of Palestine. He settles down there at various places. He stopped in what is now known as Nablus, and he went further west, and with him were his wife Sarah and his nephew Lut a.s. At one point, Ibrahim a.s. goes to Egypt, and that is where the incident of the king who tries to kidnap Sarah takes place, and Allah SWT helps her, and the king not only lets her go, but he also gifts her with someone who is going to look after her. Now, there are various approaches to this incident, but when we look at what the ahadith are saying, and also what some of the biblical narratives are saying, when we put all of this together, there is indication that Hajar, the one that he handed over to Sarah, was not an ordinary person. In fact, some historical narrations mention that she happened to be his daughter, and he was so overwhelmed by this karama of Sarah that every time he tries to approach her and grab her, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves her from him. He became impressed, and he wants to not only set her off but give her something, so he sends his own daughter. Some narrations mention from that perspective that Hajar was in fact the daughter of the king. Others mention that she was just a person that he gave over. The reason why this is being mentioned is that some people looked at Sayyida Hajar in a derogatory fashion. They tried to undermine her importance and thereby undermine the importance of Banu Ismail. That all of the offspring of Ibrahim a.s. through Ismail a.s. was from Hajar, and she was a slave girl, therefore they do not have the importance that the progeny of Ishaq has. This is incorrect. In any case, even if she was a slave, even if she was a servant, she had gifted her over to Ibrahim a.s., who freed her and married her. So she was in fact the wife of Ibrahim a.s. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her Ismail a.s., and various circumstances ensued. The result of this was that Ibrahim a.s. was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring them to this land of Makkah. It was a long, difficult, and dangerous journey, and they crossed many regions, many types of landscape. They endured hunger and thirst, and they did not have too many supplies with them. Finally, when they reached their destination, it is a place that is void of vegetation. There are no trees, there are no gardens, there are no rivers or streams or wells. It is a completely uninhabited place. And that dua that Ibrahim a.s. made, that ربنا إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم. O Allah, I have left part of my progeny here in this valley that has no vegetation, and it is close to your sacred house. And again, if Ibrahim a.s. made that dua at the time that he was departing, this would also indicate that Al-Bayt al-Muharram was already there. Nevertheless, he leaves them there. Sayyida Hajar alayhi ridwan continues to ask him that, how can you leave us like this? Why are you leaving us here like this? Ibrahim alayhi salam was commanded not to respond. He did not have permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to explain the reasoning. Yet when he was turning away, she asked that, has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you to do this? So he nodded yes. So right away she said, in that case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not put us to waste. Allah will not waste us. He will not ruin us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands someone to do something, she knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does that because He wants to give them something, not because He wants to take something away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His infinite wisdom, never commands His slaves to do something that is ultimately going to hurt them or harm them. So armed with this faith, she assesses her situation. The young Ismail is now crying out of hunger and thirst, and he is starting to turn about and panic. So she tries to use whatever asbab she has at her disposal at that time, whatever means she has. At that time, the only means that she had was that maybe there is someone in the nearby area that I can approach for water. So there are two hills there, two rocky hills, the hills of Safa and Marwa. So she climbs up Safa and then looks around. Is there anyone in the area? Are there any caravans coming from that direction? Any sign of human beings or water? She doesn't see anything. She comes down the hill, travels across this plain, this flat area, and goes up to the next hill, Marwa, and does the same thing. And she does this 7 times. After doing this 7 times, she sees an angel who is there right where her son is, and he scrapes the ground, scratches the surface of the ground with his wing, and water starts coming out. And at that point, how she would have been overjoyed and overwhelmed with this help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only she knows, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But the water just started coming out. So she made sort of like a basin around it to contain it. In fact, some narrations mention that if she hadn't done that, the water would have just come out, it would have formed a river. In any case, she now has a life source to sustain her and her child, and this water is no ordinary water. Like our Prophet ﷺ told us that this takes the place of a drink. It serves the purpose of quenching our thirst, but it also serves the purpose of satisfying our hunger. And ma'u zamzam lima shuriba lah, this in fact will fulfill any purpose that you drink it for.